In this lesson, we'll learn how to modify objects using modifiers inside of 3ds Max. So what I want to do first in this lesson is I want to go ahead and create an object, a primitive. And let's go ahead and create a cylinder in our scene. So we're going to select cylinder, and we're going to click and drag the base of our cylinder out. We'll release that left mouse button and drag our height. And once we have a height that we're comfortable with, let's go ahead and click one time to end that cylinder creation process. So now we need to go ahead and make sure that we have cylinder turned off. So let's just right click in our scene, and now we have our cylinder. Now what I want to do is go ahead and modify this cylinder by applying a modifier to it. So let's go to our modify panel, and you'll notice that we have this drop down box called modifier list. So let's hit this, and you'll notice that we get a ton of different modifiers that we could choose from. And I'm really just going to talk about one right now. We could go through all of these, but this would just take an extreme amount of time, and we cover some of these different modifiers in other training lessons. So what we're going to use is bend in this case. So go ahead and apply this bend modifier, and what you'll notice is that it creates this orange gizmo around our cylinder, and you'll also notice that we have this bend that shows up in this modifier stack, or this list here. Now this is actually called your modifier stack, so I just want to give you that term. And what we can do with this is we can actually navigate this modifier stack. It's kind of like a history, if you want to think of it that way. Our cylinder was built first, okay, and then we went ahead and we applied a modifier, so that stacked itself on top of our cylinder. So let's go ahead and adjust the angle of this bend. So now we're going to go ahead and edit our modifiers. So let's take this angle down, and let's go ahead and take it to 180 degrees. So I'm just going to type in 180 and hit enter. And you'll notice that it has bent from 0 degrees to 180 degrees to give us kind of this rainbow shape here. And we could also adjust the direction if we want to do that. And that basically just swivels the cylinder around a single point there. So we could take this to 90, and that'll turn it 90 degrees in one direction. But I'm going to go ahead and take it back to 0. And you could also experiment with the bend axis and get some different results that way. But we're not going to get that in depth with this modifier. Just wanted to show you about modifiers in the modifier stack. Okay? Alright, so once we've applied this bend modifier, let's go ahead and select cylinder in our modifier stack. Now once we've done this, you'll notice that our cylinder goes back to its cylinder state. And here we can adjust some things about our cylinder. Let's go ahead and go back to bend. Let me show you some practical use for navigating through this modifier stack. So let's go to our bend, and you'll notice that the bend is very blocky on our geometry. You'll notice we get some sharp corners in here. So what we can do is actually add some segments to our cylinder to smooth this out. So let's go to cylinder, and let's adjust the height segments. So let's take this up. Let's go up to, let's say 14 in this case. So that's a lot of segments that are in this geometry. Now let's go back to bend, and you'll see that this is getting smoother. Okay? Now, inside of 3ds Max, we have this neat little option to where we can actually see this bend or this end result even if we go back to cylinder in our modifier stack. So let's select bend, and let's hit this show end result. Let's turn that on and go back to cylinder. Now you'll notice that we're back in cylinder, but it's not taking the cylinder and making it straight up and down again. It's showing us the end result. So what we can do is change some options here, and you can actually see this smoothing out even more whenever we add those segments. Okay, and if we take this way down here, so let's go down to 4, you'll see how that gets very angular. Okay, so that's what that show end result can do. Now, like I said, we're not going to talk about all of the different modifiers. I would encourage you to just kind of apply some of those different modifiers and play around with those. And you could also search for some of those modifiers in our video training library. So in this lesson, we've discussed modifiers, and in the next lesson, what we're going to talk about is sub-object modes of our geometry.